Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with your computer screen. You probably thought it was frozen for a while. No. Okay. I don't get it. I'm sorry. For all the fans out there of Christopher Nolan, I don't get it. I don't get this film. I don't know how to plug it. I don't know how to promote it. I don't know what to tell you with my opinion on it. I don't know what to say about this film. I didn't know what to say at the theater last night when I was ripping tickets for people going in to see it. I didn't know what to say. I told them I saw it earlier yesterday afternoon and said it was a good film. But I don't understand it. Now, before you go crazy in the comments, okay, I love Christopher Nolan. I do. Okay? In my opinion, he's one of the greatest filmmakers of our time. And I call him a filmmaker because he actually is a filmmaker. He makes his movies on film. He made this movie on film. Thank God for that, because my theater was actually showing it. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. But I know that there are some theaters out there, very few, that are showing this in 35mm film. Thank God. Thank God. And you know, I'm not against the whole IMAX thing. I'm not against all that. But there's a difference between films and digital pixels, okay? A filmmaker is a guy that shows a movie on film, not digital pixels, where everything's in files. In fact, this show should technically be called AB and the Digital Pixels. But I'm going to keep it at AB and the Films because it's a lot, you know, it's a lot easier. And plus, it's been the title of this show for the last 3 years. Where do I begin with this movie? I loved it. I loved this movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. Matthew McConaughey. Never thought I would say this in a million years. Fine actor. I'm sorry. I got nothing against Matthew McConaughey. I mean, it's not his fault. He just picked really shitty scripts in the last 10 years. But with, you know, Dallas Buyers Club and I think Lincoln Lawyer was him. I could be wrong about that. That might have been him. And Mud. I heard Mud was pretty good. And now this. I mean, he's doing good. He's doing good scripts. Jessica Chastain, great. Anne Hathaway, pretty good. I like Anne Hathaway. I'm not crazy about Anne Hathaway, but I thought she was pretty good in this. Visually, outstanding. This movie, oh my God, I really thought I would see this movie for the first time and get it. Because if you don't know my history with Christopher Nolan, and I think I've said this on the show once or twice, whenever I see a film from Christopher Nolan, I know what I'm stepping into. I never, ever get his film the first time I see it. I never get it. Never do. I always have to watch it a couple of times, and then I understand it. The first time I saw Inception, my first question I constantly kept asking myself while I was watching it was, is this science fiction, or is it real? Or, like, can't these guys just get normal jobs? Like, why are they doing this? That was my first question. And that's not the kind of question you should be asking yourself when you're watching a film like that. Thank God I had my friends who saw it and understood it and explained it to me. I saw it again, so much better, okay? I hope someone can explain the last third of this film to me, because the second Matthew McConaughey goes through the wormhole and, you know, through the parallel universe, and without giving too much away, the big twist is revealed at the end of the movie, within the last half hour of the film, I was completely lost. I didn't know what was going on. It was Inception all over again. I didn't know what was real, or, like, what was the point of all this, or anything. The first 2/3 of the movie were great. I understood it, and I loved it, and I couldn't believe it that this was a Christopher Nolan movie. I was watching it, and I was understanding it. That never happens. Never. I saw Memento confused the shit out of me. That confused me to death. Batman Begins, I got that. That was easy to get. Dark Knight, kind of got it. Didn't like it when I first saw it. Loved it later. Doesn't mean I never liked Heath Ledger in the movie. Okay, Heath Ledger was awesome. Dark Knight Rises, thought it kind of sucked. I'm sorry, I didn't like it that much. And I already told you about Inception. He's made some other movies, of course, Christopher Nolan. Those aren't the only films, but those are the popular films that he's made. He's made other movies, but aside from that, and no, I haven't seen Man of Steel. I heard a lot of mixed reactions about that. Technically, that doesn't count as a Christopher Nolan movie, but he did produce it, so it's on the verge. But anyway, Interstellar. This is a movie where Matthew McConaughey is Cooper, and he is a scientist / astronaut. I am sorry. I'm sorry. Something like that. And he has 2 kids, and he's very close with his daughter, Murph. And who, ironically, I looked it up, found out that she played the vampire Spawn in Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. I thought that kid was CGI'd. I didn't think that kid was real. I really thought the kid was CGI'd. I didn't think the kid was there at all. But I guess the kid is real. So anyway, McConaughey has this relationship with his daughter, and they wind up driving down. First of all, they live in the middle of nowhere, like in the crop circles area. It kind of reminded me of Signs a little bit in the first half hour of the movie, and they come across a NORAD base camp, I guess, and of course they meet all the Christopher Nolan cast list attendees: Michael Caine, Anne Hathaway now, I guess, because Dark Knight Rises. I really so they come across them. I knew for sure Michael Caine was going to be in this, and they find out that the planet Earth is not going to be around much longer. Well, no, scratch that. The human race is not going to be around much longer. In fact, McConaughey's daughter, her generation, is the last generation that will survive, I guess, on planet Earth. So Michael Caine is telling Matthew McConaughey that we may have found something. And I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what he said was, through a wormhole outside of our galaxy, outside of our solar system, we need you to go through this wormhole and find a planet in the wormhole outside of our galaxy that is very similar to Earth, and try to save the planet. Get the planet from this Earth to that Earth. Okay, alright. Well, once they go through the wormhole, everything goes wrong. And what I liked about it is that every hour they're in this wormhole, 7 years goes by on planet Earth. So they're in the wormhole for like 2 hours, and then all of a sudden, Murph, who's McConaughey's daughter, she went from 10 to like 34 or 35 years old now, who is played by Jessica Chastain. So McConaughey's trying to figure out a way to get everyone on planet Earth, and from that point to the end, I was trying to understand what was going on. I think also Matt Damon is in this. He has a cameo in this. He plays a guy similar to Matthew McConaughey's character, who I guess tried to do this whole wormhole thing that McConaughey is trying to pull off, but he failed, and he's telling McConaughey that it's not worth it. Like the 4 or 5 of us in this rocket, the space shuttle, we're the rest of humanity. Humanity is lost on planet Earth. They're not going to survive. We can't get them over here. Forget it. So, I mean, like, it's visually amazing. It's great. The whole thing was shot in IMAX, and it was shot on film. Film. Which, believe me, is very rare these days. I hate to admit that, but it's true. Yes, I know digitally it looks better, it sounds better, but film is what we started with, people. Film is film. If you want to make it look digitally amazing, save that for the home video release or the DVD release. Don't do it in the theater. You know, it's kind of like what Quentin Tarantino said. Don't pay $8 to watch a DVD on the big screen. That's ridiculous. Do that in your home. Don't do it on the big screen. Let it, you know, I mean, like, I know the digitally projectors have that, you know, they give the movie that film look. Even though the thing wasn't shot on film, they give it that film look. Not the same. I know it's not the same, because I know how this stuff works. But thank God this movie, it was shot in IMAX, but it was also photographed on film, so that's good. That's a good thing. I'm proud for Nolan for doing that. This movie did confuse me, but not throughout the entire movie, which is a first. I'm sorry. I know there will be a lot of Christopher Nolan fans who will go see this. A lot of people who just see promos and trailers for it will go see this movie. In fact, a lot of people already have. And a lot of people are confused by the movie. I don't blame you. It doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's a really good movie. In my opinion, it's one of the year's best. I just wish I understood it a lot better. But that's what I like about Christopher Nolan. I like that he makes movies like this. He doesn't spoon-feed shit to the audience. I like that. Like, you want to know about... Here, I'll give you an example. This is a really good example here. Memento was a film about a guy with, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember, I think it was short-term memory loss or something like that. And the first 10 minutes of the movie was him going up against this guy that he has no idea who he is. And the second that scene ends and the next scene begins, we go backwards to the scene that happened before that scene, and the second scene 2 ends, we start at the beginning of scene 1. I know that sounds confusing, but the point of it all is, the audience of the film is just as lost as our protagonist. That's an interesting idea for a movie. That's interesting, because usually when the protagonist is trying to figure out a conflict in the film, and we're going on this journey with these characters, we can kind of concoct of what's going to happen and predict it. There is no predictability what's going to happen. Okay? Nothing. So you don't know what could happen. But that's Memento. Interstellar, I recommend you go see it, but if you don't understand it, which, believe me, there will be people out there that will not understand the last third of the film. For me, I didn't understand it. Maybe someone can explain it, or you can look it up. But other than that, just because you can't understand it doesn't mean that you shouldn't see it. You should. It was really great film, great acting, great directing, great writing. I just wish my mind. I've seen too much shitty movies in my life to not comprehend a good one, because I know this is a good one. So that's my review of Interstellar, and I hope you guys check this film out. And yeah, so I guess I'll see you guys in the next review. Interstellar, pretty good. Later.